Kristin Henry never disappoints her audience. The first thing that gets you in is her voice, then her story gets you in. Haunted and beautiful, Henry's poems succeed on the stage as well as on the page. Her books, Slices of Wry, was published in 1985 by Pariah Press.
The value of a kiss. Once I was in love with somebody who didn't love me back, so it was pretty undemanding. I mean, I didn't have to make lots of arrangements or buy new clothes or remember to hold my stomach in and use mouthwash. I had lots of time to think. One day I was driving down the road thinking, and I thought about how much I would give for one kiss. You're going to say I could make up something really fantastic because I'd never have to pay, because I'd never get a kiss no matter what I offered. Well, you're missing the point. The point was, what would I give for a kiss? I considered money $100. But no, how embarrassing. You can't put that kind of price on this kind of thing. Of course, I know I couldn't. Anyway, $100 enough. So I thought about something irreplaceable. I thought about 1 week of my life. That was pretty good, pretty equitable. Only how could it be collected? Now, I mean. If somebody wanted it, they'd have to wait. So then I thought about an arm, and I thought, hang on. But then I thought about a finger, and yes, I would give my little finger, right hand, for one kiss. That was years ago. I guess you know the bargain was never made. If a person didn't want my kiss, why would they want my finger? It wasn't very intelligent. It wasn't realistic. There were times I thought I'd die of love, and in the end I never lost a drop of blood. But I think about it all sometimes. When I hear someone say poetry about love is passé, we should write about important things, poems of value. I think about all that, and I remember what a kiss used to be worth. I had sometimes thought, what if I just stopped? It all. And then one day she did. She loosened till she just fell over. Well, more like dropped, really. Just hit the floor. Right in the middle of Meyer's perfume and makeup department. Right between Revlon and Max Factor. Right beside the special offer of lipstick, matching nail polish, and a nighttime moisturizer free with every purchase of more than $30. She just dropped. Hit the floor. Stopped doing what it takes to stand up, just let it go, just loosened and dropped on Saturday morning in Myers. Was she sick or crazy or brave to lie there on the floor between the counters? People knelt beside her. Those that didn't stepped away to let her get on with it, whatever it was, but looked from behind the pierced earring displays, pretending to be buying necessary, urgent pairs of pierced earrings, and why should they wait just because some woman took a fit or something in perfume and makeup? The kneelers asked if she was sick. Was this an epileptic seizure or a heart attack? Was there a doctor in the house? And she looked into the faces, looked and blinked and never said a word because she dropped talking too. Right there, and maybe not forever, but just then she just stopped and dropped and let her mouth go slack. The jaw just dropped and her eyes blinked, so they knew, them kneeling on the floor, that she was still alive and conscious, only something must be awfully wrong. The stretcher men got no help. They had to lift. They tried to roll. They nearly doubled over, but she didn't help. She didn't move. She never said a word. She let them pull and tug and roll her, and she hung just limp and heavy. And she never said a word or even thought a word, although she heard the buzz and hum around her, and she saw a lot of legs. But she never said a word, and they must push and pull, for she would not move, for she had stopped, just let go, stopped and flopped and dropped between Revlon and Max Factor. She was tired, and she just stopped. I got lots of poems about kissing. This is one about kissing strangers. I thought I knew your mouth. I've watched it forming O's and M's and devastating smiles for years. I've been enchanted with its pouts and puckers, limp each time it lit a cigarette or licked a stamp. So it's funny now when we finally kiss, to find that no amount of watching makes another mouth familiar. Yours is thinner than the one I'm used to, and opens wider than my own. Your tongue is hard as a shoehorn, and comes farther than invited, pushy, mannerless. Even our teeth surprise, we scrape and bang together painfully. Thank God our eyes are shut. We'll have to sit here, working each other's lips like homemade bread until they warm and swell and soften. And when we get it right, we must arrange to meet tomorrow. This last one is called The River of Nevermind. And it's my reaction to baptism, I guess. It occurred to me that there's a special relationship between women and guilt, and I don't much like the idea of being forgiven. So I imagined a river that you could actually submerge yourself in, and when you came out the other side, you didn't give a stuff whether you'd done anything bad or not. There's a devil just for women, and guilt's that demon's name. He stands behind her all her life and tells her she's to blame. He's in the garden, he's under the bed, at the birthing and the grave, and not since Eve has the woman lived that he couldn't make his slave. There once was a wife and a mother, a woman true to her kind. She never thought she could be beguiled by the river of Nevermind. But the sirens who lived in the river and rode on the beams of the moon sang their way into that woman's mind and taught her to hum their wild tune. It's a long way away from here and very hard to find. You'll never be the same again, for guilt won't be your devil then. From the minute you go swimming in the deep, deep water of the wide, wide river of Nevermind. For a whole long year they sang to her in the middle of the night, and she began to wait for them when she turned out her light. They gathered round the bedside when they knew her husband slept. Morning came and he never guessed the secret that she kept. The sirens whispered in her ears while her children dreamed away, but never did they dream that she was changing every day. For a child doesn't dream that its mother might carry a hidden heart. So sure is he that he'll decide when it's time for them to part. One morning, when a year had passed, she rose in the usual way. She dressed her children, fed her man like every other day. And when her family left the house, she washed, she ironed, she swept. She made her bed one final time, then lay on it and wept. She cried and then she dried her eyes, and to her family she wrote a curious letter, joyful and sad. It was her farewell note. That night the river sirens rode high on the full moon's beams. They rode to the bed in the motherless house and into the husband's dreams. She's a long way away from here, for you've been deaf and blind. But still it may not be too late. She stands on the bank, yet hesitates. Perhaps she will not seek her fate in the deep, deep water of the wide, wide river of Nevermind. The man arose and left his bed. The children followed along. They travelled the night by the full moon's light to the sound of the siren's song. The woman resisted the water till dawn. As she wrestled the doubts that remained, the sirens laughed at the way these mortals bind their love with pain. Her husband came with the sun and cried, "Oh, woman, are you wet? You still have time to change your mind if you haven't been swimming yet. I've done some things I shouldn't have, and there's others I should do. Come home with me, my darling wife, and I'll make it up to you." The children stood with outstretched arms, and they began to plead, "Oh, mother, you can't leave us now. Who'll give us what we need?" She looked into the water, and she looked once more at them. "I'm giving your father his children," she said, "and his children I'm giving him. The day grows late, the river waits, I know what I must do. Now I'll lose the devil forever and be forever lost to you." With that she turned and disappeared into the swirling tide, and not once did she rise for breath till she reached the other side. It's a long way away from here, and very hard to find. She never saw her family again, nor did she dwell upon her sin. She was perfectly happy to wash it off in the deep, deep water of the wide, wide river of Nevermind.
Haunting and beautiful, I think, is the term you'd use to describe Kristin's work. We're going to have a short break.